Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hasham Ali Khan. So now in this video I'm going to explain you about internal audit, the objectives of internal audit, essential elements of internal audit and functions of internal auditor, advantages and disadvantages of internal audit. Last two videos I have covered internal control, internal checks. So if you have not watched the earlier videos, I suggest you to go to the playlist of my channel, select the subject auditing, watch the first two videos of unit number 3. So before starting the explanation of internal audit, take a screenshot of the points which I have written on the board. So now I am going to start the topic internal audit. So internal audit, it refers to the audit of the accounts which are prepared by the staff of the business itself. Two types of audits are there, internal audit and external audit or statutory audit. Internal audit means the audit which is conducted, which is prepared, done by the staff member of the business itself. Now normally this internal audit is optional for the benefit of the management. The management is conducting this internal audit. So if there is proper efficient internal audit, then the work of statutory auditor will also get reduced. He can rely on the work done by the internal auditor. So there are many advantages of internal audit. That means this will help the management in evaluating the performance, in evaluating the different controls. So internal audit is the audit conducted by the staff of the business itself. The staff may or may not have professional qualification. So Companies Act has given specific rules regarding the qualification of auditor. But these qualifications may or may not be there for internal auditor. It is not necessary that every internal auditor must have qualification, professional qualification. Without professional qualification also a person can act as internal auditor. Next, the staff of the internal audit is permanent in nature and identifies the errors and faults at the early stage. The main advantage of internal audit is the errors and fraud can be detected at the early stage without doing much damage to the organization. So the staff, the internal audit is permanent in nature. Continuously throughout the year auditing will be done. So if any error or fraud is taking place, immediately it will be rectified, it will be located. And sometimes internal audit is also conducted by independent individuals who are appointed for such purpose. Some organizations, they will conduct internal audit not by the staff but by an external auditor. They will appoint one professional auditor to make internal audit of their company. So not necessary always that internal audit should be done by the staff member only. It may be done by an individual outsider, independent individual. Now the Institute of Internal Auditors defines internal auditing. So far I have explained you about the meaning of internal audit. Now Institute of Internal Auditors, they have given the definition to the term internal audit. What is that? Internal auditing is the independent appraisal of the activity within an organization. So within an organization, independently appraisal of all the control system, of all the activities taking place in the business. So it is internally done, not externally. And for the review of the accounting, financial and other operations. Why this internal auditing is done? To review the accounting, operational, other activities of the business for protective and constructive service to the management. The ultimate objective why this internal auditing is, it will help the management. It will help the management in taking decisions. The internal auditor will give the report, internal audit report to the management regarding the performance, regarding the appraisal of different operations. So it will be beneficial to the management. It will be constructive to the management to take the decisions. So these paragraphs will explain the meaning of the term internal audit. Now it's a type of control. One more thing you remember, internal audit is a part of internal control. Internal control is a wide aspect. In that internal control, the part is internal audit. So, which functions by measuring and evaluating the effectiveness of other types of control. So, this internal audit will evaluate the performance of other systems of internal controls. The other system of internal control like internal check. Internal check is a part of internal control. So this internal audit will evaluate whether internal check is properly done or not. So I have explained you the meaning of the term internal audit. Now objectives of internal audit. Why this internal audit is conducted? What are the objectives? First one, assessment of functioning of accounting and operational controls. Assessment of functioning of accounting and other operations. It will evaluate. This internal audit will evaluate, assess how the accounting department is performing its functions, how other control system is performing. So assessment of accounting and other branches, that is the objective of internal audit. Second one, ascertainment of predetermined accounting policies, plans and methods. Every management will implement some policies, plans, procedure for smooth functioning of the business. So this internal audit will assess whether all the management plans, policies, procedures are being adopted or not. Next one is ascertainment of reliability of accounting and other data of the organization. Whether the accounting information provided by the accounting department is reliable or not. Whether the accounts shows true and fair view of the transaction taking place or not. So this internal audit will evaluate and tell whether accounting information is reliable or not reliable. Next one, appraisal of performance of allocated duties. The duties are allocated to different persons, different employees. So this internal auditor will evaluate whether the performance of every employee is according to the delegated task or not. Next, last one, internal audit should be carried out as soon as the transactions are accomplished and documented. So normally the external audit will be taken place at a particular point of time, but internal audit is a continuous affair. This internal audit will be simultaneously done as the transactions are taking place. Whenever a transaction takes place, it will be documented, it will be recorded, immediately auditing will also be done. So simultaneously auditing will be done as soon as the transaction takes place. So these are the objectives of internal audit. Now essential elements of internal audit. So what are the features? What are the essential elements of internal audit? First one, independence. See, auditing is an independent function. The auditor should work independently. The auditor should not be influenced by any other's opinion. His work is completely independent. Suppose I am the internal auditor, I should be independent. When I am appointed as internal auditor, I should function independently. Nobody should force me to do this thing, that thing. I will take my own decisions regarding auditing. So independence. Second, due care. All the auditing functions should be done with the due care as that of external auditor. How the statutory auditor, external auditor will do the audit, same way the internal audit should also be done with due care. Next one is relationship. The auditor has to make a good relationship with the staff, with the management, with the external auditor, and also with the audit committee. So his job is not completely isolated. He is working in relationship with all other departments like management, employees, external auditor, audit committee, etc. Next one is system control. Since our internal audit is a part of internal control. So internal auditor must study what are the controls implemented in the organization. Next one is specific audit program. First of all, before starting this internal audit, he has to make a plan. What are the activities to be covered, how to be watched, how to be verified, how to physical verify all the assets. So all these things should be done by making a program. Audit program should be prepared. Next one, evidence. The internal auditor must stress on evidence of each and every event, each and every transaction, just like the external auditor. So he should focus on evidence. Lastly, reporting. The internal auditor should make a comprehensive, clear, timely report to the management. Because management is conducting this internal audit, the report should be submitted to the management. But the report should be very clear, comprehensive in nature. These are the essential elements of internal audit. Now, functions of internal auditor. What functions internal auditor will perform? Appraisal function. The function of internal audit is to appraise the employee's work instead of doing a particular task. Appraisal function means the internal auditor should appraise, should study the work done by other people. They are not doing the work. That means I am the internal auditor, I am not doing a particular task. My job is to appraise how the other departments are doing the work, how the accountant is maintaining the accounts, how the other system is functioning. So my job is to appraise, the appraisal function. Next one is service to the organization. This internal auditor is there to provide service to the management. It is not providing service to the public, to the government. Internal auditor has to make the report to the management. So it's a service to the organization. Protection of organization assets. First of all, it is the function of the internal auditor to see whether the assets of the business are protected or not. Next one, well-created internal control system. The internal auditor has to see that internal control system is effective. Then the next one is fulfillment of organizational policies. All the organization activities are done to attain the objectives of the organization. Whether organizational policies, plans are implemented or not. If there are deviations in the accomplishment of the plans, he has to give in the audit report. Next, proper working of internal control system is possible. Now I told you, internal audit is a part of internal control system. So he has to see that internal audit is accomplishing the task of internal control or not. So these are the service to the organization. Now other functions, apart from appraisal and service to the organization, other functions are he should act as a training officer in internal control affairs. Complete. In internal control system, he should be an officer to see that internal control system is effective or not. He must perform auditing of the information furnished to the management, specifically relating to management accounting reports and interim accounts. The internal auditor is a staff member, is an employee of the organization. So he has to make a report to the organization. He has to tell whatever he is finding in his audit report to the management. Next one is the internal auditor should be concerned with the reaction of internal control system towards mistakes. Suppose if some mistakes or deviations are taking place, how to resolve that, how to report that, proper method is there or not. These are the other functions of internal auditor. Now next thing is advantages of internal audit. There are many advantages of internal audit. The first advantage, internal audit helps in offering service to the management. The main job of the management is to take decisions, and decisions can be taken with the help of information. So this internal audit will supply the information to the management so that management can be able to take prompt, timely, efficient decisions. So it is helpful to the management. Next, it ensures implementation of effective internal control system. When there is effective internal audit, it means there is effective internal control system. because internal audit is a part of internal control system. It identifies the loopholes. Wherever there are some loopholes, drawbacks, disadvantages, this internal audit will make it to surface. It will find out where the loopholes are. So it provides remedies and improvement. So always internal audit will make improvement in the internal control system. Monitor the functioning of the different activities. Next one is it monitors and checks the operations of existing methods and policies. What are the existing methods being adopted? What are the policies of the management? Are they implementing or not? Or are there any chances of making more improvement? Like that. Next, it emphasizes more on the control system deficiencies, control practices, and so on. The main concentration of internal audit is to control. Whether everything is being controlled or not, this is checked by internal audit. So these are some of the advantages, few advantages of internal audit. Now apart from that, there are some disadvantages of internal audit. What are the disadvantages? First, expensive. The internal audit cannot be conducted by small organizations because they cannot afford, because a lot of expenditure is incurred to maintain internal audit department. So only large organizations can be able to conduct this internal audit. Every organization will not in a position to conduct this internal audit. Second, biased opinion. The employees of internal audit department most work under the guidance of the management and they are employees of the organization. The reports submitted by the internal auditor may sometimes be biased because they are the people who are appointed by management. So they cannot go against the management. So always they are the puppet in the hands of the management. So the report given by the internal auditor may be sometimes biased. Next one, inefficient staff member. Normally, in order to maintain this internal audit, some staff members are required. But many a times the company, the organization may face shortage of staff. Then in that case, it will be difficult to conduct this internal audit. Then possibility of misguide by internal audit report. Suppose if the internal audit report is not correct, not reliable, then what will happen? The action taken on the basis of internal audit report may be wrong. For example, if the internal auditor has made a biased report to the management, on that biased report, the management has taken some decisions. So all the decisions may go wrong because the report itself is wrong. So these are some of the disadvantages. But advantages of internal audit far exceed from disadvantages. That's why mostly this internal audit is very, very helpful to the management. That's it. So 3 videos I have completed so far in this unit number 3. That is what is internal control, internal check, and internal audit. The next topic, every time in examination they will ask you what are the differences between internal control and internal audit. That I'll take up inshallah in the next video. So keep watching and enhance your knowledge, get more and more confidence on the subject of auditing.